Finally, a group of Palestinian and Israeli human rights activists together created the International Solidarity Movement, which has brought people from around the world of all ages and backgrounds to provide a nonviolent international presence to try to fill this need. Rachel Corrie, a 23-year-old American student, went to Gaza to join in these efforts, sending back emails to her parents.
I have been in Palestine for 2 weeks and 1 hour now, and I still have very few words to describe what I see. It is most difficult for me to think about what's going on here when I sit down to write back to the United States. Something about the virtual portal into luxury. I don't know if many of the children here have ever existed without tank shell holes in their walls, and the towers of an occupying army surveying them constantly from the near horizons. I think, although I'm not entirely sure, that even the smallest of these children understand that life is not like this everywhere.
It was Sunday afternoon in Charlotte, about noon actually, and I received a phone call, and my son-in-law, Kelly, was on the phone, and he asked if Craig was there. And something about the way he asked made me realize, I felt right away that something was wrong. And then I asked, why, Kelly? And he hesitated for a minute, and he said, we've had some very sad news. And then my daughter, Sarah, I could hear her in the background, and she got on the telephone, and she said, Mom, it's Rachel. And I think the first words out of my mouth then were, is she dead?
We were opposing the demolition of farmland and other property, Palestinian property by Israeli destruction forces and bulldozers. And the bulldozer drove up, and it kept going, and she tried to move back, but she couldn't move back, and she got caught underneath. She got caught underneath the bulldozer. Many other internationals began to surround the bulldozer and yell at it and tell it that there is somebody there, and it did not stop.
Where Rachel was killed, she was protecting a doctor's home. And that's important to realize. And the 3 children, his wife, she knew that family, and that doctor felt that Rachel was like a daughter to him. He bought that house. It was in the middle of the neighborhood. There were other rows of houses between his house and the border. Those other homes, those other streets were all destroyed, and now it's history. And I've had people say, well, she was in a war zone, and Cindy points out that war zone is people's neighborhoods. Those are children.
I'm here for other children. I'm here because I care. I'm here because children everywhere are suffering, and because 40,000 people die each day from hunger. I'm here because those people are mostly children. We have got to understand that the poor are all around us, and we're ignoring them. We have got to understand that these deaths are preventable. We have got to understand that people in third world countries think and care and smile and cry just like us. We have got to understand that they are us, we are them. My dream is to stop hunger by the year 2000. My dream is to give the poor a chance. My dream is to save the 40,000 people who die each day. My dream can and will come true if we all look into the future and see the light that shines there.
Greetings to all of you who have gathered in Rosario as part of the World March for Peace and Nonviolence. Today, each of you have stepped up and joined your brothers and sisters across the planet and have taken a visible stand on behalf of the more gentle world that we all yearn for, a world that only together we can create. You stand today on record saying no to war, no to violence and destruction, and no to injustice. You stand as a force challenging inequality, discrimination, and hatred. Like my daughter Rachel, you stand boldly in support of dignity and life for all human beings, and most especially for those who live under the most threat, wherever they may be. I know that among you are artists, musicians, school children, former soldiers from the Malvinas, municipal officials, mothers and fathers. I wish that I could be with you. I am with you in spirit. As my Palestinian friends in Gaza say, Inshallah, one day I will be able to visit your beautiful community and see your beautiful faces in person. My daughter Rachel looked forward to more privileged people beginning to dismantle the structures of privilege. She looked forward to more moments when civil society would awake en masse and issue resident evidence of its conscience, its unwillingness to be repressed, and its compassion for the suffering of others. She looked forward to international resistance, fertilizing analysis on all kinds of issues, and dialogue between diverse groups of people. She looked forward to all of us becoming more effective in our work together. I thank you for keeping my daughter Rachel's message alive in Rosario. I thank each of you for the work you are doing and for being visible today. One by one, we become many. In the words of the manifesto of the World March for Peace and Nonviolence, we are thousands, we will be millions, and the world will change. Thank you.
Our daughter, Rachel Corrie, stood before the wall of a Palestinian home to protect that home and the two families in it from destruction. She was crushed to death as she stood that day, as she stood for the sanctity of the family's home, as she stood for the safety of those people, as she stood for the future of their children. She was run over by an Israeli soldier driving a 65-ton bulldozer of destruction. She was crushed to death by the military power of an occupying army. The world is full of many walls. Some walls, like the wall behind Rachel, protect homes and gardens. But some walls, like those between our countries, keep people apart, one from the other. Some walls, like the walls within and around Palestine, keep farmers from their lands, students from their schools, the ill from their hospitals, and old folks from their grandchildren. Some walls must come down. Today we stand in front of another wall. We stand in front of a wall on which grows an olive tree of solidarity, of justice, of peace. Each day more leaves spring from the tree on this wall, each leaf from a person or an organization that stands with us, with Rachel, in the commitment that we will not turn away from the struggle for justice, we will not turn away from the struggle for freedom, and we will not turn away from the prospect for peace. Rather, we stand together in solidarity with you today because what Rachel stood for has not been crushed. We stand with you and the rest of our brothers and sisters around the world who work together to build for each other's children the common future we desire for our own children. Thank you all for your work and your commitment to each other and the common world we're building.